Hello, it's Aidan McGivern here from the Met Office on this Friday afternoon.
And I'm Annie Shuttleworth. Good afternoon to you all. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome to our regular Friday Live on YouTube and on Facebook. We do these every week. If you've not seen it before, it's your opportunity to ask us some questions. We're going to be talking about this weekend's weather, next week's weather, perhaps something about a bit beyond. The winter.
What falls in December? Christmas. If you've seen the thumbnail, you'll know that I'm obviously the lover of Christmas. We've got the Grinch over here, apparently.
Not true, it's all lies. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, well, I'll be talking a little bit about the winter's forecast, or at least the first month of winter, what we know so far and what we can say about Christmas as well.
Yeah, but most importantly, do send us your questions. Hit the like button if you're watching this on YouTube and share the love. Tell your friends and family about it. And, you know, speaking of Christmas, what better Christmas gift than to spread the message about this?
Yeah, I know. I'd be happy to receive that.
All right, questions from last week. It's been a busy week of weather, certainly, and there have been a lot of interest from people. So
we've had loads of questions actually going through the deep dive, Alex's deep dive on Tuesday. We had heaps of questions in, which was really nice. He covered a lot about the sudden stratospheric warming event, didn't he? So loads of questions about that.
Well, actually, should we answer one of those questions now from Sally40B? And the question is, how do you know if the SSW, the sudden stratospheric warming, is a relatively small one or a major one? Now, if you're not familiar with sudden stratospheric warming, it's a phenomenon in the atmosphere that sometimes happens in the winter, not every year, but sometimes happens, whereby the winds that circulate the North Pole are way up in their stratosphere, so 30 kilometres high in the sky. Those winds can become disrupted or distorted, or they can reverse. Why does that matter? Because those winds and their behaviours can affect our very own jet stream at lower levels in the atmosphere. So I'll explain a video about sudden stratospheric warming on the Met Office YouTube channel. I won't go into the details now, but we've been talking about it because it's happened this week.
Yeah, been and gone.
It's been and gone. It's already starting to cool down again, the stratosphere above the North Pole. But it did happen, this warming. And Sally's question asks how do we know if it's a minor SSW or a major one? Because there's a difference, right? And the main difference is that a minor one, the winds don't fully reverse, they just slow down. They almost come to a halt, or they become disrupted, or whatever. A major one, they reverse, so they go from east to west instead of west to east, right? And
that doesn't mean that if it's a major one that we're going to have major impacts in the UK, does it? It sounds bigger, like a bigger deal than it really is, because it's only 70% of the time we see effects of the sudden stratospheric warming event bring effects to the UK's weather. And it's not at the same time. There's about a 10 to 14 day lag. Yeah. Is that right?
That's important as well. So those two aspects are really important. And why we talk about sudden stratospheric warming is because the 70% chance that we get colder weather is a reasonably large chance. It's better than just normal average winter weather. So it's greater than a 50-50, certainly, but it's not guaranteed. And then there is that lag effect. So if it happened this week, we're not talking about any potential impacts until mid-December, pretty much. Now, what happened this week was a minor one where the winds don't reverse, but they become much weaker. And what actually happened is that the vortex, this area of low pressure that sits in the stratosphere above the North Pole, it forms every autumn as the stratosphere above the North Pole cools down. That vortex, it hasn't become fully disrupted, but it's moved, it's become distorted, and it's become displaced over northern Russia. So that's what's happened this week, but a recovery is now on its way, and it's expected to recover over the next few days.
Yep, so we could see some impacts into December, potentially, but that is actually not the main theme for the the winter's weather, actually. Spoiler alert.
Not as we start off winter. We're not talking
Definitely
about
not.
cold weather. That's not going to be the main emphasis, no. But we're talking about loading the dice. You know, you load the dice, you're not guaranteed to get the result, but you're slightly more likely to get a certain result. Anyway, lots of other questions about that. Very interested in the polar vortex. It's interesting that it's so early this year, says Claymore 5. And
They usually happen a little later in the year.
that's true, yeah.
Because it's all to do with the initiating of the event is to do with Rossby waves, planetary waves, disrupting the vortex. And I believe that it's later on in the season where they're more defined and the amplification can lead to that disruption. But so it's unusual that it's happened this early in the season. And the fact that it's happened this early in the season means that there is the potential for further warming events later on in the season, because we've still got a lot of the season to go. So usually you only get one real event in a year, but there is the potential for another one just because we've got enough time left, not because we're thinking that's going to be likely, because we don't know the details yet, but it's purely because of the timeline.
Yeah, we've started this week's live on easy subjects, haven't we? It's a nice gentle start for people.
We've tested ourselves and you at home, I think.
Yeah.
Loads of questions in that deep dive. If you want any more information about it, have a look at that and have a look at everything else we've got online. We had some other questions about ensemble models as well in the deep dive, which is another complicated part of forecasting, isn't it?
I think Alex got really technical in this week's deep dive.
He leveled
hence
up.
The questions, they matched his high standard. This one was interesting actually. Ensemble modelling is basically where we run the computer lots of times and we change the conditions at the very start very slightly to see whether those tiny differences at the start may or may not escalate into bigger differences later on. So it's all to do with chaos theory, the idea that subtle changes at the start can escalate into bigger differences in the future. And Laurie Driver asked, if you do that, do you look retrospectively to remove individual runs once you know the starting assumption? And actually, no, we don't, because we're already moved on to the next period of time, right? For the next run. When
you know the starting conditions, you would be sort of in the weather, really, I guess, in many ways. And it's actually only really longer range forecasting when we use ensemble members, isn't it? So when we're looking more day to day, we're looking at our deterministic outputs, what we call it. So we don't have lots of different outputs. Whereas if we're looking over a week ahead, usually that's when we look at the ensemble data. So the answer is no, we don't do that. But that's a little bit more information on ensembles for you.
No, and actually there's a very different way that AI weather models do ensemble forecasting. I won't go into the specifics, but if you want to find out more about that, another technical subject, there is a video about that I did a month or so ago, AI and weather prediction. So that's on our YouTube channel if you want to learn about how AI weather models approach ensemble computer modelling slightly differently. Let's move on to something a little bit lighter, because my brain's starting to hurt. Had a hailstorm in Lancashire about 15 minutes ago. There are a lot of those around today. Yeah, there's a bit of hail around, some lively showers, gusty winds.
Yes, it's been a really windy start. I think we had a gust of 83 miles per hour this morning, so very windy, but it is getting a little bit calmer out there, and there is a bit of sunshine too as well to come this afternoon, but that is all set to change into the weekend. If you haven't seen already, we do have some weather warnings out there for this weekend for rain, so it's going to be a really wet day on Saturday for a lot of us.
Weather fans, Michael has said it's been a very wet November in Tamworth, Staffordshire. My weather station's recorded 132.4 millimetres so far. Wow. Could we top 150 mils? I guess, what do you need, 18 mils?
Yeah.
There's the potential.
Today, I guess.
Well, in the next couple of days.
Okay. For November. The November. Yeah, I mean, it has been a really wet November for some areas. We've got our monthly stats coming out next week, as December, of course, starts next week in our last few days of November. we've also had some questions about will it rain during the match on Sunday, there we are, in London. And actually Sunday is looking like a much drier day than
really
Saturday.
Nice Sunday, yeah.
So got a full weekend
if you've got
forecast
outdoor
to come.
plans this weekend, particularly if you're in England and Wales, Sunday's the day, because Saturday is not looking like a, pleasant one, really, is it?
Absolutely not.
Certainly through the morning. Azina, this is my first time catching a live forecast. Love watching the deep dives. Welcome along, Azina. And Martin Baines, how are the water levels across the UK now? The recent rain must have made a difference. Well, funny enough, you're going to show that soon. So, yeah, stay tuned for that.
Yeah, it's been, although it has been wet through November, we've still got a long way to go to make up for the water deficit, the rain deficit from this year so far. But I'll show you the updated graph later on in this live.
Budgiegal 0774. When it comes to global warming, is the change of snow each year getting smaller? Is that true? How do we know? Funnily enough, there's a video coming out about that tomorrow. I'm going to show a bit of that at the end of this. But yeah, YouTube channel tomorrow. Check that out. It's very interesting by Alex Deacon.
We've had a question from Callum whether why wasn't the low that that affected Scotland, I think that means, a named storm. It was really windy, but here at the Met Office, when we name storms, it's not just a threshold that we're looking for, how windy it's going to be. We also look at impacts here. And so if the strong winds are going to be affecting an area that sees that weather more often and they're more robust, the infrastructure is built to withstand those sorts of strong winds or the heavy rain, then we don't name it. But if the wetter or windier weather moves across more southern areas where we don't see it as often, particularly across the east, where more unusual directions for the rain to come in, like when we had Storm Claudia coming in from the east a couple of weeks ago, that's when we name them, because they're likely to bring impacts. So it's all to do with the impacts, not just how windy or how wet it's going to be.
My weather station on Sky, Kyle's Terry, has said that their weather stations recorded 240 millimetres for November. Wow, and 1996 for the year so far. Really interesting. Yeah. I don't know if those reports are being submitted to WOW, but they should be, because that's a great resource. The Weather Observations website, so if you've not heard about it, that's a kind of crowd sourced website for weather observations. So they're not necessarily the official weather observations, but anyone who's got a weather station can upload their weather readings onto WOW, and then you get this great representation across the country.
Yeah, because obviously all of our records just encompass the Met Office or the climatological stations that we monitor. So any more amateur weather stations at home, the information is still used, but it can't be used in official records. But the information is still actually really useful to us.
And someone's asked, is there any drier weather? Samuel, Y3, Y4Y. Any sign of drier weather anytime soon?
Yes, there is actually on Sunday, but it's going to be short-lived, the dry weather, because it does look quite wet next week as well, and beyond, to be honest with you. But we have got loads of information on that. Shall I go through the weather for this weekend to start with? Head over to the board. Yes, as I said, we are expecting some drier weather to move in on Sunday, but this week we've actually had a little bit of everything. I thought the satellite picture would be a good way to show you what we've seen. So we had an unsettled start to the week just for Monday, and then we had high pressure move in, bringing those cold, frosty mornings on Tuesday and Wednesday. It was really cold here on Wednesday morning, but then that all changed as the warm sector moved in, that blanket of cloud that just came through. And here, this area of low pressure that brought that wet and windy weather to Scotland this morning, so a really deep area of low pressure this morning. So the satellite picture shows you all we've had this week. And as we head into the weekend, it's staying on the more unsettled side, but we are going to just see more of the rain, to be honest with you. So Throughout this evening and into Saturday, the forecast actually is still a little bit complicated. We've got an unusual amount of uncertainty in the forecast still, and that's because this area of low pressure that moves in from the southwest is still yet to form actually, and so that means exactly how deep it is, the position of it as well, how far north it will move across the country is still a little uncertain, but we are expecting some wet weather across the south, many central areas too actually on Saturday. That moves out the way slowly through Saturday night to be replaced by a brief interlude of higher pressure. So a ridge of high pressure brings fine weather for many on Sunday. As I said, it's a short-lived affair because the jet stream is really starting to get going by the time we get to Monday, and that will deepen this area of low pressure out in the Atlantic, and confidence really does increase with this one because it's such a big area of low pressure. So that's set to bring an unsettled start to next week. As I said, through tonight, we are expecting some wet weather to move in. Let's have a closer look at the rain through this evening, as well as the area of low pressure and the winds too, because as I said, it was a windy start to the day. Those winds are slowly starting to ease, but we start to see this northerly wind push in, and that will push in some snow showers across northern areas of Scotland, mainly over high ground. We could also see some hail in there as well. It's going to stay quite blustery through this afternoon. Clear though for much of Scotland and Northern Ireland overnight, so there it's going to be a cold one, but actually if we look further south, that's where the rain starts to move in due to this area of low pressure. Let's have a closer look at the rainfall for Saturday. As I said, there's still a little bit of uncertainty, so you're likely to see quite a lot of change. Oh, excuse me. Likely to see quite a lot of change in the rain timings and where we're going to see the heaviest rain falling on Saturday, but it's expected to bring a large swathe of rain to southern areas, and then it continues to pivot. That area of low pressure could wrap around and bring some further rain to the north and east of England. We just paused the graphics on Saturday afternoon, continue to bring some rain across northeastern areas, and where that rain bumps into this colder air that's going to bring a much colder day to Scotland tomorrow, we could see some hill snow. Nothing disruptive at this stage, just a brief spell of sleety snow, no big accumulations expected from it. It's actually the rain that we're keeping an eye on, and we do have some warnings in force for that rainfall across the south of the UK. Here we go, here is that warning. So it's quite a broad area. It's much of England, much of southern and central England, as well as much of Wales. And we could see up to around 60 millimetres in some of these areas. That's likely to bring some disruption on Saturday. As I said, exactly where the focus of the heaviest rain will be is a little bit uncertain. So please keep up to date with the forecast throughout the week. Stay tuned with any updates in the warnings, but it is going to be a wet one. Sunday though, no warnings in force for Sunday. Let's go back to have a look at the picture for Sunday. As I said, it is turning much drier for most of us. It will probably be a bit of a wetter start to the day across the far northeast, where this low pressure is still not yet cleared. Behind that though, fairly light winds. It'll probably be quite a cold start to the day on Sunday. Definitely a cooler, fresher feel for many of us. Plenty of sunshine, but the next band of rain will move in by the afternoon, so that will bring hazier sunshine and some wet weather to end the day. And you can see the winds actually really starting to whip up on this front, and through some of the fronts moving through over the next few days, we could see what we call line convergence on those weather fronts, which will bring a short spell of quite gusty winds and some heavy downpours. So yeah, a bit of a wet picture throughout Saturday. Much better day on Sunday. That's the day to be getting out and about, but it is going to be feeling a little bit colder on Sunday, that's for sure.
And Chazando LFC 2425, he's asked what the weather will be like on Saturday at 5:30 p.m.
Okay.
So yeah, it's looking not great, is it?
Let me go back. Oh, this isn't 5:30. Oh, there we go.
Oh, mind you, that's clearing. Oh, I was wrong. There you go.
Clear, yeah, so the low pressure wraps around, but then we get an occlusion wrapping around, that's all that is. That's when we start to see that risk of hill snow. But further south, we probably will see a bit of a clearer spell, but I think because, as I've already said, this low pressure system, the shape and position of it could shift a little bit. I think don't unfortunately take too literally the exact timing the rain is going to start and stop, but the main theme of expecting some rain through the day, potentially it drying up a little bit towards the end of the day. So I think pack a brolly, pack a raincoat if you're going out, just be prepared.
A few questions, as is to be expected, about snow. Little Italy, what are the realistic chances of snow for the UK in terms of a percentage? And Harrison Navy, will it snow? Are there any signs of snow in the forecast?
Other than throughout Saturday morning across, well, tonight, to be honest, actually, you can see actually some snow showers across northern Scotland. I mean, it's where we're going to see we typically see snow, and as this rain comes into colder air on the high ground of the Pennines, perhaps the Lake District, the highest mountains there, seeing a dusting of snow as well. But it's going to come with a lot of wet weather and cloudy weather as well. So I think away from Scotland, or the Highlands, to be honest with you, we're not going to be seeing any of that crisp, beautiful snowy pictures, those frosty mornings, anytime soon, because away from any of the hill snow, it's going to be pretty wet and pretty cloudy, to be honest. And temperatures are generally going to be on the milder side of things for now. Colder interlude just for Sunday, and then we sort of just stay around average, to be honest with you. So it's kind of neither here nor there, and not cold enough to bring any widespread low-lying snow.
Actually, someone asked about averages. I'll see if I can find that question. It was from Azina. The averages that are used, are these constantly updated with recent data, or are they taken from a specific time period? And does this make it less obvious how the climate is changing over time?
So the averaging periods we use are over a 30-year period. So the current averaging period is 1991 to 2020. So when we get, so you need at least a decade of temperatures to be able to shift that. So when we get to 2030, we'll be able to do one from 2001 to 2030. So it's a 30-year averaging period, 30-year averaging period, and that's really important to have such a large amount of data, so that you get rid of any, days vary so much in the UK, just depending on the wind direction and obviously the seasons, etc. So you need really long averaging periods for accurate data. Does that disrupt the sort of data from how our climate's changing? Yes, in a way, yes, because actually the weather that we saw at the beginning of this averaging period in the early 90s is actually already very different to the weather we're seeing in the UK now. The seasons are very different as well. So it's something we look at and we think about when we're thinking about our seasons and how it compares to average. And we always have a little bit of background warming in our seasonal forecasts. So what you would expect, if you're thinking about the winter, there's an underlying level where it would be, okay, the season's going to be the average temperature, and then we'd look at loads of other weather drivers and how that's going to change it. But the average is just actually slightly warmer in those forecasts, because we know we've got that background level of warming. So there's a lot that goes into those seasonal forecasts, and actually we'll be talking more about that in next week's deep dive, because winter starts next week, of course. Yeah,
and Shy Society 39 has said that I think people are talking about snow for the future, like a week or two ahead, not this weekend. So, yeah, and that's important because of what happens on Monday, isn't it?
Yeah. So winter starts on Monday, but will it be wet or will it be snowy? Well, it has certainly been a wet November so far. Here are the rainfall stats for what we've had of rainfall compared to that November average for the 30-year period. And you can see actually across much of central England, it's been a really wet November so far. We've had well over the month's rainfall already, and that happened actually quite early on in the month. Much drier though across the south and east as well as the north and west. Now, although it has been really wet so far this November, that won't have made up for the deficit in rainfall we've had already this year. This is how we're looking on our rainfall amount for the year of 2025, and you can see these brown colours here showing you that we're still at a deficit in rainfall across the country, but in particular across southeastern areas. So that's why there's still restrictions in water. Despite this rainfall that we've had recently, we've still got deficits of rainfall, and reservoirs are still running at a deficit. But that doesn't mean that any rain we will see over the next few days won't bring any impacts to the UK. And as I said, on Monday, the start of meteorological winter, the start of December, we're expecting an area of low pressure to bring with it a lot of rain, particularly to western areas. It's a huge area of low pressure out in the Atlantic. It's already developed, so there's a good amount of confidence in the forecast from Monday onwards. We're likely to see some waves developing on these weather fronts that could bring more persistent rain to southern areas. And as a result, we do have a number of weather warnings in force for southern areas of the UK on Monday for rainfall. So please check out our website and app for more details on that, because we're likely to see some travel disruption due to the rainfall amounts. How much rain can we expect throughout Monday? Well, here are the rainfall totals through the 24-hour rainfall totals throughout the next few days. And you can see Monday here poking out to us as highlighted as a pretty wet day. It's particularly across western areas and actually the high ground in the western areas. So the Brecon Beacons, parts of Dartmoor in the southwest being highlighted here. But we could also see some quite wet weather across the high ground further north as well throughout Monday. But we will likely see some impacts from that rain, and the rain is expected to persist into next week as well. So as we have a look at the sequence for the weather throughout the first part of next week, you can see this deep area of low pressure bringing with it pulses of rain, some spells of quite strong winds as well, particularly across the southwest. And this area of low pressure will remain out to the west of the UK throughout Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, continuing to sweep up spells of rain. So that means we'll have southwesterly winds across the UK and quite a lot of cloud, particularly overnight. So temperatures are going to be quite close to average. We're not expecting any widespread frost through the first part of next week or throughout the first week of December, and daytime temperatures are going to be pretty close to average. So that's sort of higher single figures, just about double digits by day for some areas. So definitely a pretty cloudy and damp first week of December and first week of winter. Now, does that theme continue throughout the rest of winter? Well, the most likely scenario throughout the second week of December is for low pressure to still be sat out to the north and west of the UK. And so that means that we're likely to expect more of the same, more of that quite average, those average temperatures, not bringing any widespread cold nights, as well as quite a lot of wet weather across more western areas. So it's the west where the rainfall totals will start to build up throughout the week. It's going to be a steady build, and the theme through December remains the same. That's not to say we won't see any colder weather here and there. These are the most likely scenarios. You can see a lot of them have got cyclonic, that's low pressure in charge. And as we keep going through, you can see rainfall totals all in the west. That's not to say we won't necessarily see high pressure from time to time. We will likely still see some short-lived, colder, drier interludes, but the main theme for at least the first couple of weeks of December is for for low pressure to dominate, with wet weather across the west. Now, of course, Christmas falls in December. It's less than a month to go. So what does that mean for our chances of a white Christmas? Well, here at the Met Office, we have a very exclusive snowometer that we will be updating you with throughout the next few weeks in the run up to Christmas. Now, as you can see, it's thinking about it, but unfortunately it is too early to say whether we're going to see a white Christmas here in the UK this year. Now, on average, it is about a 50% chance that we will see a white Christmas with the stats in the UK. For it to be a white Christmas, we need one snowflake to be observed falling in the 24 hours of the 25th of December at any Met Office observation station. Now, that could be by a Met Office observer or by an automated machine. But for the detail of the forecast at this time range, it's just under a month until Christmas. The day-to-day detail is just not there yet. And what we know so far is that it's most likely to be on the milder and wetter side for Christmas Day.
I mean, it's a familiar story, isn't it? Mild and wet for Christmas Day. It's certainly, these days, it feels like that's happening more and more. Is that to do with global warming? Well, Alex Deakin, as I mentioned, has done a really interesting video looking at how our winters are changing. And you can find that 11 a.m. tomorrow on our YouTube channel. And it looks at not just what we can expect in the future as winters change because of global warming, how winters have been changing, and the many complicated factors involved as well. It's really, really interesting. So give that one a watch.
Yeah, that looks great.
Now, it's time for a quiz.
Oh, yes.
But it's a bit different this week.
It is, because you haven't written it.
No, I got away with not having to write it this week, and you haven't written me one either. George has written it. In an interesting turn of events, you might know George as the guy who occasionally cleans the windows behind the camera. He likes to get involved in the Weather Studio Live. The rest of the time, he's the cheeky chappy that answers your questions in the live chat. And he's written this week's quiz, and we're both going to try and answer it, and you can answer it at home as well. So he said he's going to send us the questions on Teams. There they are.
Just like that.
So this is the first time we're both seeing it. I'll read out the question, and then we'll both fire off an answer on Teams, see how we compare with each other and the audience as well, of course. So feel free to answer, play along at home, and then George will reveal the answers at the end.
Okay, so we're playing against each other this week.
Stakes are high.
They are, aren't they?
Okay, George's winter quiz. It's about winter. That's all. I totally forgot we had to have a jingle.
Yeah, you can't forget the jingle. It's too good.
I know.
You need to properly introduce George's winter quiz.
Yeah,
very appropriately titled.
George quiz jingle. Right. Yeah. Okay, question one. Last winter, December 2024 to February 2025, how many weather warnings did we issue? Was it A, 88, B, 108, C, 128, D, 148?
Oh, okay, so we're just going to... I mean, I have no idea.
I have no idea. I'm going to go with the higher end of expectations, I think.
And do you think this is how many... Because sometimes we update warnings as well, so do you think that's a real issue?
They are included.
They are included.
Yeah,
okay.
They get tweaked and updated. So in some ways that figure is higher than you'd expect.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go on the higher side of things as well. Are you sending your answer to me or to...
I'm going to... If we reply to George's quiz on the Teams chat, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Answer locked in.
Oh, you've gone with the same answer.
I didn't see yours.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Great minds might both be wrong.
We're going to have to do a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Send the answer. Otherwise.
Well, it worked. I didn't see. You didn't see me.
We're in tune, me and you.
Okay. The audience have gone with B, 108.
Okay.
That's 37%. Actually, one thing I did think was it was quite a quiet end to the winter. I don't think we had that many warnings in February, did we? I don't know. I can't remember. You know,
I
can barely
personally was
remember
living
this
in the,
week's
living in
weather
the
warnings.
Netherlands, so I think I've got an excuse.
Right, yeah. Well, if all the questions about last winter, I might have the edge.
Yeah.
Oh no, the second one's about James Bond. Okay, question 2. Which James Bond actor made his...
For a bonus point, hang on, don't miss the bonus question. For a
where's
bonus
that?
point,
Oh, I missed that.
speaking of last winter, how many storms did we name in 3 months?
Well, that's interesting, because I know we went up to... we went up to K or L? Is it last year that we went up to L? Yeah, again,
Possibly.
you were living in the Netherlands.
I'm really sorry. I know I meant to know all of this, but I think it was there was a really busy period because actually my son was born between 2 storms, and we're in the Netherlands, so we still have the same storm names. So there was a quick succession of them. But I don't know if that really helps us with the answer to this question.
No, but there were quite a few in the autumn, so we're not talking about the autumn.
Yeah, that was November, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, winter,
Yeah,
of course,
the 3
sorry.
months. And then we had Eowyn. I know we had Eowyn in January, can't forget that. It was one of the biggest storms we've had. What do we have? We didn't have many storms after Eowyn. I don't think we had any in the winter. EF? What? Oh, we had an F in the summer, didn't we? Floris. So
yes,
it stopped.
Yes, we did have Floris.
We both kind of helping each other with the answer. Yeah. So E, we got up to E, but we had a few storms in. Was it Dara? A B C D.
Yeah.
Dara. Was that in the autumn though? I'm going to go with 1. I think we had a lot in the autumn, and then we had that Floris. Right. I know because Eowyn was the start of January.
I'm going to go with a different answer to you. Not far.
You're going with 2?
Yeah, with 2.
Okay. Let's see what the audience is saying. Some 3s, some 4s. So, Kerry Tarrant, 4-3. Matt Kay, 3 for sure. Okay,
3 for sure.
Oh, 44% of people gone with 3.
Well, has anyone been looking it up online? Of course, you can look back on last season's...
Only 5% have agreed with me.
And with me,
even
13%.
Even after I gave quite convincing reasoning.
You did. You almost convinced me. I just went for something different because I felt I couldn't go with your answer. Right, okay, next question. This one's about James Bond. Which James Bond actor made his film debut in the 1968 historical period drama The Lion in Winter? Right, okay. Was it Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton?
Timothy Dalton,
Timothy
Dalton. Not Tomothy.
Not Tomothy Dalton. You nearly got me there, George. Or Pierce Brosnan.
Well, Pierce Brosnan would have been in short trousers, wouldn't he, in 1960? Not to say he wouldn't have been in that film, because, of course, he could have been a child actor.
He could have been.
I have no idea. I have no idea about this one.
Film debut, I guess. Was he was he a child actor?
How old is Pierce Brosnan? I'm guessing 70?
Yeah, he could be.
Yeah, he could have been if he was a child.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think it's more likely...
I'm going to go with Pierce Brosnan, me.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I'm going to go
Roger Moore, Timothy...
I'm going to go with Pierce. The others are too old to have made their debut in 1968.
I don't even know when the first James Bond film came out. Do you know? No.
No, I'm not a massive James Bond geek. I mean, I like it, but I don't
when did
know,
the first James Bond... Does anyone know at home? When did the first James Bond film come out? Who was...
I'm going to check. I think a lot of people gone for Sean Connery. My first thought when I saw that question was Sean Connery, and then I convinced myself it was Pierce Brosnan.
Dr. No was the first James Bond in 1962. Okay. God, yeah. James Bond. We're nearly getting into the James Bond season, aren't we? When it's in sort of Christmas, winter, Sunday evening James Bond film. Definitely a tradition in my household when I was younger.
Oh, I think I know the answer for the next one. Thank goodness. It's more of my comfort zone than James Bond. What is the name for the fear of snow? Ooh. Is it A, ombrophobia, B, astrophobia, C, cryophobia, or is it D, Chionophobia. Do you know what this? I know what this is. I might just wait and see what you.
I feel like astrophobia could be is not quite. It's kind of all the phobias. It's the Latin name, isn't it?
That's true. That would be something
like
that's
planet
out in space.
Yeah.
A fear of something up there. I think
So
umbrophobia, is that the fear of rain? Or, oh no, umbra would be light or sun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, maybe cryophobia. How do you pronounce the D, would you say?
Chionophobia.
Chionophobia, and you
I'm
know
gonna
how
put
to
my
pronounce
answer in.
that
Just
one.
gonna put it in there.
Cryophobia. Okay.
I've gone with.
Well, I think because you knew the answer, you knew how to pronounce that one. I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to
I have
go
gone for that.
I'm going to have
Chiono. I don't know if I got the pronunciation right.
Oh, okay.
But I've gone with chionophobia. I think can you see it there? Yeah, if you tilt your head back. There you go. There's our book. Very British weather. And I contributed towards the snow chapter, and there's a little bit in there about the fear of snow.
Oh, I have to flick through. I haven't actually read that yet.
Really?
No.
Well, it's a Christmas present idea if anyone's watching.
Definitely. We had the Christmas market in the Met Office. I already started my Christmas shopping on Wednesday. It was on. Very excited.
Sausage rolls.
Well, they ran out very quickly.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, very popular, the sausage rolls here at the Met Office.
Anyway, the audience have gone for cryophobia, 46%.
Okay, yeah. Okay, cryophobia. Yeah, I think it's pretty similar-ish words. Maybe variation on a similar theme, maybe. Right, next question. Now, I feel like I might know this because last week's quiz, for anyone who was watching it, there was a question on sort of winter sports for Aidan, and I did sort of get in the mix of looking up things about the Winter Olympics. So I'm hoping I might have a good first guess on this. So the question 4 is, which country has won the most medals throughout Winter Olympic history? Is it A, Norway, B, the United States, C, Germany, or D, Austria? Now, I think...
You think you know this?
I think
Shall
I know
say what
this.
before you give it away, I initially thought the United States, they win everything when it comes to the actual Summer Olympics, but then I thought Norway... Maybe they excel more at winter sports, so I'm going to go with Norway. Yeah,
they definitely dominate in the cross-country skiing. I think it's sort of part of the school curriculum's cross-country skiing, and they are really good at it, and that's a big part of the Olympics. And yeah, that's my feeling, Norway.
Should we both say Norway then?
Germany and Austria also have quite good winter climate, well, mainly Austria, to be honest. But have we varied on our answer? I think we did one question different.
Matt K T7P has said Jamaica. Brilliant.
Jamaica, oh, the Jamaica bobsleigh team.
Yeah. 37% gone for Norway. We must be right with that one. Come on.
Yeah, 29% United States. They do, as you say, they do dominate in the other disciplines. I wonder where. I can't remember when the Winter Olympics are this year. No, they must be.
Or where they are.
Or when or where they are. They're not this year, though.
If you know, let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Question number 5. Which UK poet famously wrote In the Bleak Midwinter? Was it A, William Wordsworth, B, Christina Rossetti, C, Robert Burns, D, John Keats?
Oh.
Any thoughts?
Bleak midwinter. I haven't heard of all of them. I haven't heard of Christina Rossetti. Heard of John Keats, Robert Burns, William Wordsworth. I think it...
I've gone with John Keats.
Have you?
I don't know.
Do you know?
I
think it might be Robert...
I don't know.
Is it Robert Burns?
Possibly.
I'm going to go with Robert Burns.
Anyone know?
The next Winter Olympics is 2026 in Cortina. Very nice, in the Dolomites.
Ooh.
There we go. I went there last summer for the first time. It was beautiful.
34% of you went with William Wordsworth, 30% with John Keats.
My literature didn't do very well in my English literature GCSE, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Surprises me.
Yeah, not a big reader, me, but well done to everyone who played at home. Should we find out the answers?
I'm dying to know.
Did we both vote on that one just then? Are we ready for the answers? George wants to know. Are we ready for the answers? I think
am,
so.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
He's leaving us hanging.
He is.
You didn't put numbers next to your letters, so it's difficult to know.
Oh, sorry. Okay, right. The answers are in.
So the first question was last winter. How many weather warnings last winter? Was it A, 88, B, 108, C, 128, or D, 148? And the answer, what did you put?
I went for C. We both went for C on this one.
C.
So
it
we
was
went for
B.
108.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which I think was the most popular answer from the audience as well.
I think it was, yeah.
108 warnings last winter, 96 yellow, 9 amber, 3 red warnings. That, of course, was Storm Airwin. Was there another red warning issued apart from that storm? I'm not sure. And the bonus answer was we named 2 storms last winter. Yes, of course. Dara was the 5th of December. I kind of thought that was November, but yeah.
Oh, so Florence must have been a spring.
I think it was August.
Oh, a summer storm, yeah. 2. Oh, I think I said 2.
You did, yeah. And
okay.
so did people at home. So
well done,
well
everyone
done
at
to
home.
all of you. So you've got the bonus point.
1 point for me.
I've got 0.
Yes, it's out of 6 this week as well because we have got the bonus question. So if you're totting up your scores, out of 6. So that's 1 out of 6 for me so far. Okay, question 2 was James Bond. It was Timothy Dalton who played Philip II of France in The Lion in Winter. Not a film I've seen myself, and so didn't know the answer. Did you?
Yeah, but also only 24% at home. That's the 3rd most popular answer at home. If this was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and we were relying on
Phone a friend, or the ask the audience.
I think we all embarrassed ourselves there.
Yeah.
None of us knew that.
A tricky question, that one.
Okay, less embarrassing for me at least. What did you put for answer 3? Oh, you went with D as well. The fear of snow. What is it? And yeah, we were right. It is chionophobia or chionophobia.
Chionophobia.
Cryophobia. Oh, we've got the answers for all of these actually. Ombophobia is the fear of rain. Astrophobia is the fear of thunder and lightning.
Oh, very good.
And cryophobia, obviously, is the fear of cold, but chionophobia is the fear of snow.
I can't imagine that many people are scared of snow. I reckon the highest, most people out of that would probably be scared of thunder and lightning.
A few people have messaged to say that, you know, when's it going to be a thunderstorm because I have a fear of thunder and lightning.
I know lots of pets are as well, aren't they? Everyone has a nightmare with their pets.
Yeah. And, you know, quite a legitimate fear to have.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 4 was which country have won the most Winter Olympic medals? And yeah, we were right with this.
Yes.
Norway.
By how many? I think we've got the stats in, haven't we? Of
405. Second place was the US.
The US 330. A few people just said it's because they've got the money for the training. That's why they do so well. Such a big country as well. They do have some pretty good winter sports in the States as well. And it has actually, speaking of winter sports, it's been a really good start to the winter season in the Alps. They've had so much snow. Yeah. It keeps coming. All the lifts have opened early, I think.
I was going to say, because they're not open yet in a lot of places, are they?
Yeah.
So that's good. That's good for them. Which UK poet famously wrote In the Bleak Midwinter? Oh. And it was Christina Rossetti who wrote the poem In the Bleak Midwinter. We didn't get that right. I don't think. Yeah, only 22%. Well done to the 22% of you who got that right.
Okay, so how did you do, Aidan? I got 3 out of 6.
You got 2 plus the bonus. I got 2. Yeah.
Yes.
Not sure I like George's quizzes.
Shall we have George's quiz back? Let us know if you like the setup of us both doing the quiz and an external quiz master, or whether you prefer it one presenter quizzing the other one. And also let us know how you do.
Yeah, you're now 1-0 up in the leaderboard. If we're going to carry this on,
I think we can get a leaderboard just here, and then we can put the points live. Yeah, so
Britain's biggest Met head.
Yeah, you had it here first.
Yeah, not that they were about the weather.
With a record-breaking 3 out of 6. Didn't exactly a 50% pass rate. But yeah, great quiz. Thank you very much, George, for putting that together. That was great. How did you all do at home?
Kieran's Motorsport, 3 out of 6. Robert Giles, 1 out of 6, lowest ever. Don't worry, Robert. I think a lot of us had a bad one this week.
Marcus Jones wants to know if we can have George in the studio.
Asking the questions.
Yeah, asking the questions. Yeah, I like that idea.
I don't think George will like the idea.
No.
But if that's what people are demanding.
Yes, we'll have a word with him.
Robert Cave, 3 out of 6. Well done. Andrew Jones Maguire, 0 out of 6. And Weather Fans Michael, 0 out of 6. Yeah, bit mixed, I guess, this week.
Yeah, but
so were the questions.
Lots of people saying they enjoyed the setup. That was fun. I liked being able to talk about it. Sometimes you can't, if you need to think through what you're thinking, talk through what you're thinking. The other person's giving you a steely face, not giving away the answer.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Double bluffing.
Yeah. Oh,
Weather Fans Michael suggests start the presenter head-to-head from the first live of 2026. That's a really good idea. Yeah. Let's wipe the slate clean.
Excuse me, I think
start it again.
I think we need to start from now. At least I would like to carry my point over into 2026, if that's possible.
Right. Well, that's everything just about. But we do want to mention that if you've not already seen it, on Krizik, friend of the show,
yes,
did an amazing weather.
A video. Yeah, a video on the supercomputer.
The big weather computer. And that's on YouTube now. Here's a little snippet.
In the early 2000s, the Met Office supercomputer was a powerhouse. It could perform over 14 quadrillion calculations every second. That's more than 2 million calculations every second for every person on Earth. It held memory for hundreds of trillions of data points and had enough storage to save over 100 years' worth of HD movies. Inside, compute cores worked in parallel, solving the same equations that Lewis Fry Richardson had imagined nearly a century earlier, but now at lightning speed. The old supercomputer was like a room-sized brain. It was immensely powerful but physically confined. It laid the foundation for a new generation of forecasting technology, proving that with enough computational strength, we could begin to see the weather before it happens.
Really interesting stuff. So you've got that on YouTube now that you can check out after this. And then Alex's Our Winters Are Changing video tomorrow at 11.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be talking about this winter's forecast, aren't you, in next week's Deep Dive?
In next week's Deep Dive, I'll have a guest on, hopefully, to talk through the season, how the season's looking. So please join me for that. So quite a lot to get your teeth into, plenty to watch over the wet Saturday. So get locked into YouTube instead of heading out in the rain, if that's possible. So plenty of rain to come on Saturday. Best day of the week is on Sunday. And yeah,
whatever you're up to, enjoy your weekend. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.